we're actually going to skip all this right here. And we're going to jump down to question 5. So we're jumping down to question 5. All right. So the key right here is the fact that they're looking for slope. And anytime you have points and you're dealing with slope, I'm just going to remind you, in case you ever want to use it for a test or a quiz, that below slope dude over there is where I have my poster that kind of tells you how to do this. But what we stress on this is the whys. I just think that if you take care of the whys, you've got a really good shot of getting this right. Okay. And so what I like to do is circle the whys. So if y'all remember yesterday, we circled the whys, because if you identify the correct why, and by the way, if you forget which one's X and which one's Y, first off, I got this poster right here that will help you. So I want to make sure you know that we got a poster here. It does follow the alphabet. And what I tell kids is, I don't care if you got to sing the alphabet real quick, not out loud, but in your head, but X comes first and then Y. So we're circling the Y's. So we're going to subtract. So the formula says we're going to subtract the Y's. So we got 7 minus 1 on top. So I feel like if you can do this, there's a really good chance. It doesn't guarantee anything, but a really good chance that you're going to get this right. All right. So if you subtract the Y's on top, then on bottom, you're going to subtract their buddies. And so we got 6 minus 11. Does that make any sense when I say that? Like, if you subtract the Y's on top, you subtract their buddies on the bottom. Does that kind of make sense, or is that confusing? And I don't care. You're not going to insult me if you ever say it's confusing. I'm just curious what y'all think about it. All right. So now we go through this. You're way ahead of me. So you go to regular calculator, and we're going to go control divide, and 7 minus 1 on top, and on the bottom, 6 minus 11. Hit enter. And did y'all get negative 6 over 5? So check out. Okay, good. All right, so this is negative 6 over 5. All right, so same thing here. We're going to take care of the Y's. So we got 3 minus. Okay, here's why I don't consider slope to be easy. Kids will forget that it's 3 minus, and then you got to put negative 2. So you got to put minus 2. And if you forget that one little negative sign, you've got this wrong. All right. Then on the bottom, we are subtracting their buddies. So 3's buddy is 5, minus negative 2's buddy is 5. And so we put that in the calculator. So control divide, we're subtracting 3 minus minus. So you can put 2 minus signs. So 3 minus 2 over 5 minus 5. And you notice it says undeaf. I don't think we got to see this one yesterday. I think the bell rang before we saw this one. But the calculator will say undeaf. This is undefined. And I usually just put UND for undefined. You can write the whole thing out, but I usually just put UND. All right, and then number 7. So we're going to focus in on the Y's. So we got 2 minus 5. And one of the big things I don't think I've stressed today, so I want to stress this. We never should see a plus sign on slope. Never, ever, ever see a plus sign. Okay, so you're always subtracting. And then we subtract the buddies on the bottom. So we got 10 minus, and then you have to include that negative 3. So minus 3. Okay, so go to the calculator, control divide. We got 2 minus 5. And then 10 minus 3. Did y'all get negative 3 over 13? Is that what y'all got? Negative 3 over 13 on that one? Okay. Um, and if for some reason we didn't get negative 13, then you might not have put the minus minus. And like I said, that's always the thing. That's why I don't consider this to be easy, is those negative signs can come back and really kind of kick your butt. I think it was negative 3 over 13. I already forgot what it was. Yeah, negative 3 over 13. All right. So if you think that's easy, that's awesome. Like I said, that just shows that you're going to be able to pick up even more on the STAR test. All right. So now we're looking at graphs. Now with graphs, there is one thing that I consider to be super, super easy. This is the one thing I do expect everybody to get. I think that if you will draw Slope Dude, you don't have to, but I think if you'll draw Slope Dude, remember Slope Dude always goes on the left right here. I think that if you'll draw Slope Dude, that you will know if this is positive or negative. That's the one thing I expect everybody should be able to always get right. And if it's multiple choice, you can eliminate half your answers. So the easy version of this is uphill. So if Slope Dude's going uphill, it's positive, downhill is negative. Of course, if you really need Slope Dude, then if you're skateboarding uphill, or you could even be walking uphill, then you're breathing hard. Oh, okay, good. So puff, puff, positive. So it doesn't bother me either way. How are we doing today? That's good. And there's paper. Do you need a pencil? We finished the front because we didn't, like, we skipped a lot of the front. So we're on the number 8 on the back. All right. So hey, what's going on? All right. So if we drew, I lost my train of thought, sorry. So we drew Slope Dude here. Slope Dude going uphill or downhill? Uphill. So uphill would be positive. Now, you are not required to put a positive symbol. I do it because I'm ADD. If I don't do it, I'm going to forget. All right. So now we're going from point to point. And the only thing that matters is that it doesn't matter which dot you start at. Okay. You don't have to worry about positive or negative. You just either, if you start at this dot, you got to go up first. If you start at this dot, you got to go down first. So it's either up or down to get to the other dot. Okay. But it's like you're walking to a friend's house. Okay. You got to go from this house to that house. So I'm going to start, I like to start closest to Slope Dude. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, and then, so that 2 goes on top, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 over 5. Okay, so number 9, we're drawing Slope Dude once again. So Slope Dude is on, Slope Dude always goes on the left. All right, Slope Dude going uphill or downhill? That's going downhill. So downhill would be negative. And then you got your 2 dots, so it doesn't matter which dot you start at. I always start closest to Slope Dude. So I'm going to have to go down in order to get to that other dot. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The one thing I want to remind you is when you put your pencil down right here. So I'm assuming that you're going to kind of do it like me, where you put your pencil down on the dot and start going. Remember, you don't start counting until you start moving your pencil. Okay, so this first spot is technically 0. Okay. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, 5 over 5 does reduce. Technically, we probably should have thrown that into the calculator, but I knew that didn't reduce. But this does reduce. So remember, here's the key thing. If you get an answer and you look at your multiple choice and the answer's there, you're good. This would not be an answer option. So throw it into your calculator. So we're going to go to our calculator. I'm just, because it's down low, I'm going to go ahead and start a new one. So control divide -5/5, and just let it reduce it for you. And the answer should be -1. All right, and then number 10, here's slope dude. And slope dude going to be going uphill or downhill? Uphill, yep. So this is positive. And then from this, I'm going to start from this dot. So we go up. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then over 2, 5/2. So the over 2 is always on the bottom, or the over is always on the bottom of the fraction. So yes, this is still easy to screw up, especially like if you don't go up or down first. If you go across first, you can screw this up. The thing that I think, like I said, everybody should be able to get is if it's positive or negative, you should be able to eliminate half your answers, almost always. And we'll get to some multiple choice in the next day or two. All right. Okay, on this one right here, I know there's a lot of stuff here. All we're going to do is find the slope from a table. That's all we're going to do. So we're not going to worry about graphing or anything. We're just going to find the slope from a table. Now, I do have, over on my poster over here, I do have slope from a table, but it's vertically. This is horizontally. Now, this is the hardest of all the slopes to me because the x's are physically on top. Everything in you, when you do this, is going to want to put these numbers on top. Okay? I mean, it is so hard to do this one right because when you look at this, the x's are on top. This is why I always say circle your y's. If you will take the time, now we only need 2 of them. I know there's 4 of them here. We only need 2 of them. So I'm going to circle the first 2 y's. If you will do that, then I think, you'll get this right. But if you don't do it, just everything in you is going to want to put x's on top. And I mean, I've been teaching for 20 years and I've seen this all the time where kids they know what they're doing, but they see the x's on top here. So they put them on top when they do it. All right. So we should have on top 3 minus, and then there's a -1. So we got to go -1. So this is what you missed before you got here. This is what we were working on the bottom of that front page, was just doing slope, but it was from 2 points, not a table, but still the same thing. And then on the bottom, you subtract their buddies, right? So 3's buddy would be -1. And then -2, very good. And it's always subtraction, there will never be a plus. And now we just go throw this into the calculator. So we're gonna go control divide, and we are plugging in 3 minus 1, and -1 minus 2. And I got -4/3. Is that what y'all got? It was. All right. And you did get that? Okay. The reason why I asked is, guys, I screw up all the time. So don't ever think just because I got the answer that that's the answer, because I mess up all the time. All right. Okay, so this is kind of a review. So one of the things that we're always trying to do is we don't want to forget. Y'all learned stuff in the last couple of units, and we don't want to forget that stuff. And so we're always trying to make sure that we're reviewing. So what do we see that tells us, hey, this is really easy? Matter of fact, this is all calculated. It's this f of x. So I have a green poster right there, and you can see anytime that there's a y, or if there's 2 letters. Now I know that we have f of x up on the poster, but it could be any 2 letters that are back to back would make a y. And so this right here is y equals, we can go plug this in the calculator. So we go to the calculator. So we're going to go to our calculator, and we'll go to graphs actually. So anytime that it's got a y equals, then we're plugging this into graphs. And, oh. All right, so we don't plug in the f of x. We plug in what comes after the equal sign. So we're going to type in 2x plus 5. So 2x plus 5. Okay, you hit enter. And then we always hit something afterwards. If you forget it, it's the yellow poster tells us what we hit after. But we always hit menu 5.1. So menu 5.1. Now, menu 5.1 is not Magic Pixie Dust. So this is not an answer right here. Okay, but it allows us to plug in stuff. And so we go back and we look at our problem. We don't have any words that tell us what to do, but we do have something that tells us what to do. Do y'all see what tells us what to do? We see something. So we type this into the calculator. There's no words, but there is something. All right, that -3. So that -3, here's what I tell you. Now, technically, this -3 is taking the place of that x, which means -3 is x. But even if that doesn't make any sense, if you see a random number, let's plug it in and see what happens. So we're going to type in -3. So we're going to type in -3 and hit enter. Do what? Yeah. And I see -1 right here, and that's my answer. Is when I type in -3, that -1 is my answer. Now I know this is not multiple choice. If it was multiple choice, it's always more reassuring. Oh, there it is. But this is one of the questions they do like to make griddable, so there's not always going to be multiple choice. This one's kind of a stupid one, but we'll go do it. All right, so once again, what do we see that tells us what to do here? We see this, and that's what we're going to be plugging in. Yeah, we see this f of x, and so we're going to type this into the calculator. Now, this is kind of a dumb graph here, but we'll go plug it in. So always go start a brand new graph. So brand new graph, and all we have is the number 3 right here. Hit enter. Okay, we're going to hit menu 5.1, and then y'all said the number was 2, is that right? 2. So then that random number that we see, we're going to hit 2 and hit enter. And there was only one number in this equation. It was the number 3. So it shouldn't surprise you that the answer to this was what? 3. So but in the end, the calculator is taking care of that. So anytime we see f of x or we see y equals, then we're going to our calculator and let that calculator do all that work. That's one of the major things that, and we're about to move in some stuff where we really are going to see a lot more y equals, and we really get to use this calculator a lot more. All right, so right here we see y equals, again, this f of x. So we're going to go plug this in the calculator. There is a negative sign that's kind of hard to see right here, so make sure you see that negative sign. So we're going to go to our calculator, open up a brand new graph. So we're on the 3rd page, or the front of the 2nd page. So we got minus 4x. Do y'all know where squared is? Have we talked about that? Squared is next to the 4 right here. And this squared only gives you the, yeah, that's our, what we're doing today. Yeah. No. Is that stapled? Oh, that must be the original copy. Or it should be stapled. Are they stapled? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what I thought.
Take the bottom one then.
By the way, just so that y'all know, this random guy walked into my room and just starts walking around like he owns the place, right? All right. So this is Coach Shavers, and all my other classes he teaches with me. So if you were in any of my other classes, then you would already know Coach Shavers. But in this class, technically, what do you have?
In freshman athletics.
Freshman athletics right now. So usually, I did not have a class all year long up until 2nd semester when I started teaching this class. And so this is the only class that he doesn't teach with me, but in all other classes, he teaches with me. All right, so we're typing in 4x squared. So right here next to the 4 was your squared. and then -3. All right, so we hit enter. And then we're going to hit our menu 5-1. Now on this one, we don't have one random number. And I do have some words. So we have some words. Domain is X's and range is Y's. But in the end, we have all these random numbers here. And so whenever we have all these random numbers, we start typing them in. And so I'm going to start typing these in if y'all want to start writing them down. So I'm going to type in -2. So your first number is -19. Okay, and then -1. Your second number is -7. And then 0. Your third number is -3. And then 2, we get -19. And I'll tell you what, let's just stop there. Y'all get the point, right? And however many numbers there are, you type those numbers in and you get that many answers. Okay? And so on a start test, they're never going to put that many numbers. They may put 3 or 4 numbers, but they're not going to put that many numbers. Okay? All right. All right, so if y'all remember, the key word here is domain. And what was domain? Just, yeah, the X values. And remember, right next to where it says X values, you got these 2 weird lines. That tells us we're cropping our picture, and we got to crop the X axis. So remember, this is not a graph. This is a picture, okay? All right, so we see the picture. So we're cropping this picture, okay? And so domain, we're cropping the x-axis. So when I draw a line, it has to go through and touch the x-axis. So we go to the edge of my picture right here and we draw a line. Y'all remember doing this? Okay. And then we go to the edge of the other side of the picture and draw a line. Now, whatever 2 numbers we hit, those are the 2 numbers that should be in my answer. And so it should be, so I see that it should be a -2 and a +4. So D is definitely not it, because I can see a 1 right there. It's definitely not all real numbers. And then this has the -2, but it doesn't have the +4. So the answer should be C. Okay, so domain, we drew lines that cross the x-axis. Okay, so now for range, I'm going to scoot this down just a little bit so I can see that. All right, so for range, this is me coming back from spring break. I'm a great art. You know, it was either become a math teacher or become an artist. It was a really tough decision. I mean, I just fought for it and fought, you know, which one should I become? And I decided to become a math teacher. I don't know. Maybe I should have become an artist. All right. So when we take a look at this picture right here, this is now range. So range is Y's. So that means when we crop this, my line has to cross the y-axis. Okay, so we're talking about the top of the picture right here, or the bottom of the picture, or not or, and the bottom of that picture right there. That's a terrible line. All right, so what 2 lines or what 2 numbers did we hit? +3 and -5, so it's definitely not all real numbers. C only has -5, doesn't have +3. D is just out there. Yep, it's there. So domain and range is one of those that I do kind of consider it easy. It's really not. You know, that's what you need. I can get you another one if you want another one. I consider this kind of easy because I really don't consider like there's any math involved. Okay. And so we think domain and range should be one of the things that we're actively looking for on the STAR test. So we want to make sure we don't forget how to do those. All right. All right. So this, I do think y'all think this is easy, but we don't see enough of this. Oh, there's probably only one of these on the STAR test. But I do think when y'all were doing this, y'all thought this was pretty easy. So we have a key word in here, varies directly. Do y'all remember how to do this? It varies directly?
The butterfly method.
The butterfly method. So varies directly or directly proportional is when you set up two fractions equal to each other. And then we do the butterfly method. Okay, so we haven't done this in a while, but when we did it, y'all thought this was easy. So we're going to do fraction equals fraction. All right, so the rule is the first two numbers you see, you put those two numbers in how are we doing this morning? Come on in. This isn't the regular Algebra 1 class, just FYI. So yeah. All right, so I know this is my favorite. Oh, okay.
Everybody's good.
All right, so the first two numbers that you see are going to go into the first fraction. So as we look at this, we've got a 90 right here, so we're going to put 90 first. And it technically, the first two numbers, it doesn't really matter which one goes first and second, but we're going to put 90 first and we're going to put 35 on the bottom, okay? Now, what does matter is you have to label these. And the labeling of these is what makes this easy, okay, if you label them. So when we look at this, at first it looks like both of these have feet. But when you really look at this, this does say 90 feet when a wave travels. This says 90 feet per second. So we're going to make this just F for just feet. And then we're going to make this feet per second. So FPS. So now we have to decide where the 7 goes. All right, 7 goes at the bottom. Why? You're just showing off for him now, aren't you? I'm just kidding. All right, so this goes at the bottom because it says feet per second, and that's where we have all the feet per second. So that's exactly it. All right, now we've got a missing one, and the missing one becomes X. And now we can do our butterfly method. So we're going to circle this. All right, so the rule on the butterfly method is that you multiply. How are we doing, Jordan? There you go. How are we doing? We good? Okay. Did you grab? Okay. Do you need a pencil? Do you need a pencil? Oh, you got a pencil? Okay. All right, we're on the back. Turn to the second page down at the bottom. I had that word problem. And Jordan, you were really good at this when we were doing this. This was back in Unit 1, and this was the butterfly method. You remember doing the butterfly method? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so we're multiplying the two numbers right here. So we got 90 times 7. So 90 times 7. So we're going to regular calculator, right? So 90 times 7 is 630. And then what do we do? So we got our 630. We multiplied these two. What do we do after we multiply these two? Y'all remember? We divide. Very good. So we're going to divide by the number that's with X. So you multiply the two numbers that are circled together, and then you divide by the number that's with X. And so we're going to divide by 35, and we get 18. Okay. And it was 18 feet because the feet were right here. So it was 18 feet. All right. So look on the back. All right, so once again, we're trying to make sure y'all learned all this stuff. We don't want to forget this. So all we see here is a basic equation. Do y'all remember how we do basic equations? We can just do these in our calculator. Do y'all remember how? All right, so this right here, so just making sure you remember the poster. So this right here, we can go into regular calculator and we can go under menu 3.1. Okay, so menu 3.1. So grab your calculator. So, and we're going right here to regular calculator. And then you're going to hit menu 3.1. Now, when we type this in, you can't just type in the equation and stop. There's something you need at the end. Y'all remember? Very good, comma X. All right, so let's type this in. So we got minus 5x minus 4 is equal to minus 5x plus 1. All right, and then at the end of this, we're putting comma X. Now, does everybody remember doing this? Because some of y'all weren't here when we were covering this, but I think we've done it with some of the reviews. Is everybody good on how to do this? I know y'all were here. Everybody else looks good. Okay. All right. So we're going to hit enter. And the calculator says no solution. Now remember, this calculator is awesome at no solution. Okay. But it sucks at infinite. Okay. So infinite, I don't know if y'all remember, but would give us 0. But when it says no solution, our answer is no solution. So it's really good with no solution, but with infinite, it would actually give you a 0, and it would be tough to know if it was A or C. But no solution, it flat out says no solution. All right, I'm not going to worry about this one right now because I kind of. Did they ask one? You weren't doing anything?
Yeah, no, I told her, I was like, this is my comp. Let me erase all this.
Shavers just sits there, doesn't do anything. That's why I tried to tell them when they walked in. I was like, this is not. All right. So this one right here, I screwed up. We should, I don't know if y'all remember doing these, but we turned this into an equal sign. Do y'all remember doing that? Turning these into an equal sign, and then you plug it in. But the thing is it would only give you a 4. And so obviously you already know that the answer is 4. And so that doesn't do any good. So since I screwed up, we're going to skip that for right now. I want to go work on some of these right here. All right. So first off, I want to work on 3 and 4. Let's skip down to 3 and 4. We've done this a little bit, but very good. So we've done this a little bit, and some of y'all were pretty good with this, and then some of us kind of struggle with it, and that's okay. I do not consider this to be easy. So write this out over here to the side, and we're actually, bless you. We're actually, by the way, if you need it. I've got a poster here that kind of describes what we're going to be doing right here. So if you are good at this, but you need a little bit of help, then you're going to want to do this. Now, if you see this on a test and you don't know what to do, we have a strategy. What's our strategy when we don't know how to do something? Guess C. Okay. And so, and I hope that even in your other math classes that you still apply that. Okay. This is not a math strategy, and obviously that is another math class, but it's a test taking strategy. I hope you apply this in all your classes. Now, is it going to give you really good grades? No. You always got to be able to get the easy stuff. If you can't get the easy stuff, it's never going to work. But just in general, if you can take care of the easy stuff, and you can, when you don't know something and there's absolutely nothing you can do to figure something out, you always want to guess the same letter rather than random guessing. Random guessing is like playing the lottery. And maybe y'all are lucky. I have no luck whatsoever. Okay. My wife says I used up all my luck when I married her. So, I just, I have no luck whatsoever. So that's why I always guess C, is I'm going to get it right every once in a while. All right, so here's what we do here. We draw a line right here. And our goal is to get y by itself. Now, this one shouldn't be all that bad because there's no number in front of the y. So all we've got to do, and this is always going to be the first thing you do, by the way, is get rid of the x. So right here, I've got this 2x. To get rid of it, we're going to subtract 2x. You always do the opposite to get rid of it. And like I said, if you look at this poster here, it tells you when you're trying to get y by itself, the first thing you do is add or subtract the x. And it gives you a little example right there. Okay. Now, when you subtract this, you never, ever, ever combine these two numbers right here. So see these two numbers, the -12 and the 3x, I just bring them down. I just like to put the x up front. So I cannot combine, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. I cannot combine this 4 and this -2x. You will never be able to combine this. This you cancel out right here, yes. But these you rewrite. And we like to put the x up front. So we're going to put -2x up front, and then the -4 in the back, and then this y just comes down. Now, y's by itself, that was my goal, so you should be able to look at your answers and see the answer. So which answer gives me y equals -2x minus 4? Hey, yeah. Now, if you can do that, and we'll hopefully keep practicing these. If you can do that, that's great. If you can't, this is not easy at all. Okay. And so if you're able to do this, one of the things you should feel good about yourself because you're working and doing some really good math. Okay. You're working on some higher level math if you can do this kind of stuff. If you struggle with it, like I said, it's okay. It's not easy. All right, so let's do this one right here. So we're going to write out -2x minus y is equal to -3. All right, so the first thing we're always going to do is get rid of the x by adding or subtracting. So if this is -2, what are we going to do? Very good. So we're going to add 2x. So add 2x. So this cancels out. Now, one of the things that a lot of kids will forget is this negative sign. That negative sign has to come down with the y. Over here, it was positive. Positive can just kind of fade off into the sunset. But the negative has to stay right there. All right, is equal to, you will never, ever be able to combine these right here. So we get 2x minus 3. Now, technically, there's an understood 1 right here. So I still need to get rid of this -1 that's in front of the y. So how do we get rid of the 1? And if you look over here, the second step says divide by the number in front of y. So we're going to divide by the number in front of y. So -1 is in front of y. We're going to divide by -1. You do not change the sign on this one, okay? So we divide by -1, and we got to divide by -1 to everything. Now that will get rid of this -1, and then everything else I'm going to put in the calculator. Now, for the most part, you might be able to look at this and reduce it yourself because it's a 1. But I personally would just always feel more comfortable going to the calculator. So in the calculator here, I'm going to put -2. So I'm going to go fraction bar and put 2 over -1. Hit enter. And I'm going to clear this for just a second. It gives me a -2. So I'm going to go ahead and write -2x. And then I'll put this -3 over 1 and -3 over -1 in the calculator. So control divide -3 over -1. Enter, and I get a +3, so I'll put +3. So you can't just put 3. If it's positive, you got to put a +3. All right. So look at your answers. Which one gives us a negative 2x plus 3? Okay. A. So like I said, if you can do this, this is not easy at all. If you can do this, then you should feel good. Okay, you're doing some good work. All right. On this next part, I'm actually going to get rid of the multiple choice here. And I know that sounds weird, but does everybody have that written down before I clear it? Everybody good? Okay. I'm going to go up to 1 and 2 real quick. So I say 1 and 2. I'm sorry, not the beginning of the paper 1 and 2. The one's right above 3. Oh, it's not 1 and 2. It's 3 and 4. My bad. This 3 and 4 right here. I thought if I saw this was 3 and 4, I assumed that this would be 1 and 2. But who made this worksheet? Oh wait, that was me. Okay. Okay. So on this one, we're really not trying to do this right here. Okay, I taught y'all guys something different. On the STAR test, I don't think it'll ever have you try to match it with this right here. And even if it does, I'll teach you something that you can do. There's one thing that we want to do when we see it written like this. Okay, so when we see it written like this, we simply, so let me back up for a second. How come we have to work this out by hand right here? Because X was on the same side as Y. If X is on the same side as Y, we got to work it out. But here, X is on the other side, isn't it? There's only one thing we need to get rid of, and that's this -1 right here. And we can get rid of this really easy. We just simply move it to the back here and change the sign. Do y'all remember seeing this at all? I know we've done this a few times, but it's probably been a while. So we're going to take this -1 and we're simply going to move it back here, make it a +1, and then we get rid of that right there. So that's all I want you to do right there. Put a +1 right there and get rid of that -1. Now, the reason that we do this is because now we have y equals. Now, could you plug this in the calculator? Yeah. And so anytime that we see this right here, we just want to get this -1 to the back here, make it a +1 so we can plug it into the calculator. Now we don't need to plug it in the calculator right now, but like whenever they ask these questions, they'll have it like with a graph or they'll have it with some points. I don't think that they ever give you this and then want you to get y by itself. They could, but I don't think they do. All right, so look at this one right here. So X is on the other side. So the only thing I need to do is get rid of that +2. So how would you get rid of that +2? Move it to the end, make it a -2, and then just get rid of it.